Oh yeah. Now we'll get down in there and get that fuel pump off. That's a good shot right there of that. See, they got two nuts on that right there. One of them jammed against the other one to lock them together. That's where you have to do that. But oh yeah, the whole thing's screwing out on its own. So this one here will be really easy. But if it don't, there's still ample room to get that thing out of there, the fuel pump I'm talking about, without dismounting the flywheel. So I think this is a 7/16 by 11 maybe thread, 7/16 something, but and it goes all the way in through that side plate in there. It goes all the way into the, and I see, I'll bring that to your attention right there as I'm going along. See, when I'm turning that bolt, I can see that mechanism pulsate back and forth like that, move that way, undulate. So that means that this, that means that stud's bent a little bit. It ain't much. But even with the flywheel still in space, see, you can actually get this off of there with no problem. But oh yeah, we'll have to. There's that welded part. Well, you know, looking at that fuel pump really quick at once, I don't see anything wrong with it. Well, it appears to be good. We'll have to get this over on the bench and get that plunger out of there. And it does have, well, it's got a ball down in there. It was loose, and I done put some oil in there, and it's down in there. But I believe we'll be able to fix that. Oh yeah, I got something to show y'all. Amazing it is. How much more powerful it is. I'm gonna get this out of the way, out of the vicinity of it. And even at this point, I've got it wrapped up in a plastic bag because it has some. It's a high potency Mr. David Cave. I think Dr. David Cave be appropriate maybe. But this is a horseshoe magnet that David Cave makes and sells that has these high potency magnets in there. They're quite powerful. And I have a 1.5 E over there, John Deere, in Q to use this magnet on. I just haven't got to it yet. So I wanted to point it out to you that it is for sale, and I think you can search, you know, like Gas Engine Magazine, make contact with them, purchase yourself one. but I am going to use it. Just want to say thanks, and yeah, I'm anxious to see the outcome. I'm going to put it back in that plastic bag because, you know, it pulls in some sediment from miles away. It's quite powerful. Oh, yeah. We can slide that out. Yeah. Spacer. So, I'm going to take that rod cap off and confirm, you know, I'm going to clean them gears from out here and confirm when turn the flywheel, it will when I come around here and line up this ignition right down here with that mark on that crankshaft right up in there on the block I'm talking about, and on the flywheel, 1-4 ignition. Okay. You know something that I learned a few days past this week is there's actually a system on timing these old engines that is quite easy. That being learned from the repair manual that accompanies a Nelson Brothers engine. That little 1 3/4 horsepower, the one in reference to. But taking that in that description in that pamphlet from Nelson Brothers on how to time their engines in the absence of timing marks made by the customer. It becomes such a problem that they mentioned it in their manuals on how to time it without any marks. That being on initial assembly on a 1-cylinder engine, when you're putting it together, if you turn your flywheel to the position that the throw on the crankshaft is straight up and down with some few degrees, not many, the manual stated 1 inch toward cylinder. So, you know, where do you measure that 1 inch at? So anyway, with that in mind, that means that the flywheel should be turned that way just a little bit. So that puts a bias on the position of the throw on your crankshaft, and it being on the top, just covered up in that housing, as indicated by the keyway being opposite. Okay, when you put that flywheel in that position and you slide that timing gear, you slide the cam gear onto the pinion with the cam lobe pointing, the highest point of the cam lobe pointing in an upward position, then you lock those two settings and you will have timed your engine. You know, hit replay. That being exhaust timing. When that's in that position, and your rod going up to your exhaust valve in that position, as indicated by just putting it together in that position. You know, make your marks on them and carry on. Yeah, okay. A little something extra for that blank page in your book in there, I show you something. That the tooth that is exactly in the center of the keyway on the crank pinion gear is the one that that's your timing gear. So right there's the keyway, and the tooth exactly opposite that is this one. So now we have us a timing tooth on the pinion gear. And I'm only doing this to confirm that the engine was timed correctly when I got it. You know, I'm assuming that the engine was running, and I would venture to think maybe the gas tank gave way on it, and you know, because it's been rebuilt once. The two teeth that we're going to mark are the two that has, I'm trying to get it in focus with the camera right there is what I'm trying to do. Well, I'll show it to you. I'm going to reach in there with a paint marker and highlight them. It's this one and this one. So that's our two teeth marked on the cam gear. And the one on the other side over is marked on the pinion gear. To confirm if the engine's in time, we're going to turn this around and we're going to line them marks up. Oh yeah, it was in time. That's pretty cool. Okay, this seems to be a pretty good example, you know, that we can actually see the two marked teeth down there on the cam gear again is highlighted, and I'm turning the engine in direction of running, which is clockwise, and we've got three teeth. The one there with that scratch mark, that's not a timing gear. It's the one that's across from the keyway. So turn it in the direction. No, let's back up. We don't want to scrub or paint away. And you see the two coming into play, and the other one, and they're gonna. When that comes around, it will mesh between those two. Well, it's you know, it ain't no weather forecast or nothing like that right there, but it's raining outside. Weatherman said we're supposed to get some snow tonight. Just a light dusting, I think, is forecast. We've had none as yet. But, without further ado, we'll take that side clear off. see it? Yeah, we'll just close up on that. Well, that was a bearing that fell out, and you know, just going by it on really quick, look it over. It actually, well, yeah, I was just thinking. Well, you know, now this is where you have to make a call. You know, when you break the engine down, and this is what you got. These are pretty good, to be honest about it. You know, once they're cleaned up and scraped, because they actually do, they're worn, as evident to the dampness on the grease grooves. They have a real nice face on them. But the corresponding to that, that's your tooth. See the corresponding, it's got a lot of, see, as is evident right here, I'll bring this to your attention. This right here is it's a babbit bearing in a 1.5 horsepower M, and I'll show you something here that's, I guess it's something for the discriminating customer, and I got an engine right over there that's for the discriminating customer. I just ain't made a call yet, but I'm going to. But anyway, you know, just wiping this bearing down, and you have to know that this engine was made in 1923 or something, I think, maybe. It's a gasoline. A kerosene was made a different year, going by serial number. But this bearing, well, you know, when it came from the factory, this bearing was right there. That's where it's always been. And this bearing right here, what was on the bottom of it down here like that, and it had them shims in between it right there. Okay, before I took it apart, it had about 50 thousandths plate like this. So, you know, taking that 50 thousandths, see, the bottom don't have no hole in it, but it's got some grease screws. The top has a hole in it with some grease screws. There's a point to this. But this was all in that housing, and it had some side plate like this right here. And you tighten that up by sliding your flywheel in a little bit when you reassemble it. and then you don't have no side plate. And you remove shims to tighten up these bearings. But it was quite a bit. I would estimate it, I didn't measure it, and then the other side is equal distance. I'd say probably about 50 thousandths or so, or maybe a little more even. Because, as evident on this bearing right here, now it's dirty, but you can see a half moon shape for that. The movement at some point, you know, like when it wore enough, when that wore loose enough, it would let the crankshaft vibrate a little bit, you know, and it wore like that. So, and it did have a pulley on it. I think the engine was in use. But all of this to make a point is, at this point, to take an engine all apart, you know, leave it in a comment. Everybody's got some rust in it even. The crankshaft looks really good. So, you know, I know what I'm going to do already by looking at these right here. But, you know, what would you do? If you went off the sale and you bought the engine and you had it home right there on your workbench and you doing what I'm doing, would you put these bearings back in there? You know, they're quite bad. Or would you buy a set of bearings? They are available on the internet, and they're quite expensive too. It's not a cheap endeavor at all. It's like a lot, but they are available. So, do you at this point, you know, looking at these already, the gunk and well, it's sand, gritty stuff. But you know, you can take this X-Acto knife. Look at that. That's what I'm talking about. When you get a blade that's sharp on the right side, you know, one time it'll be real nice this way, and when you turn it over, it'll dig into the metal. But when you do this right here to that whole bearing, and you get a checkerboard pattern, and you're shaving off that. In this case, it's, well, what's coming off, so, but, well, I'm gonna go ahead and do the whole thing, and, but leave a comment down there. Would you immediately, what's your opinion on it? Would you go ahead and buy a set of these bearings they got advertised on the internet? They're real good. I've used them before. Would you go ahead and get a set on order and value the engine that much more? Would the engine be worth the price of a set of crankshaft bearings? Now leave a comment down there. We'll clean all these parts up right here, and then we'll talk about that right there later.